actually meant, I think if I were to be honest, through life and just situations and stuff, I started understanding what codependency really is and what not being codependent looks like. And it really helps me in my life. And I think this is going to be an eye opener for you ladies tonight. It is not something that I could finish in one session. So this is going to be 2 parts. But I want you all to take notes. Before I start, I want you to get a pen and paper close by, because at some point during the session, I want you to write down a couple of things just for you, not for your sake, for you to keep a record of it and try to work out certain things. So before I start, I'm giving you an opportunity to go get pen and paper if you don't have pen and paper close by, or maybe a laptop, anything that you could write with, right? So you could do that now. As Celeste also said, I love to hear when you all share, when you all open up and share your experiences. And I'm always enlightened. I always learn actually from you all and from your experiences. And because, you know, when people share what they've been through, especially when they've overcome, it always encourages others, you know. And we ladies, we want to be open. We want to share with each other. We, you know, trying to have a bond going here, right? The ladies sticking together, right? So also take this opportunity, ladies, to share, especially if you know someone who is always in a cycle in their life. You know, it's like, you know, if it's not one thing, it's a next, or all their relationships not working, all their jobs don't work, or, you know, somebody who's just like always in a cycle, always seeming to be free, and then they end up back in a situation. Share this with them, share the link with them. It's not too late for them to come on, because I really think it would be very beneficial, right, to us ladies tonight. So here we go, right? So, I mean, ladies, by now, most people are supposed to be over 18. If you're not, even if you're not over 18, I think we realize that, you know, as we journey through life, we encounter a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I have a 16-year-old who's very anxious to be an adult, because she wants to go. Mommy, I can't wait till I could drive, so I could just go, and I don't have to depend on you to drop me. And I can't wait till I make my own money, and I can't wait till this and that. I just watch her and be like, in my mind, I was like, I can't wait until you start to do that, to tell me you wish you could go back to 16, right? Where you're dependent on me for everything and life is simple. Because from the time you start, you're on your own, you're out of school, you start on your own, basically working and so on, you realize that your problems intensify. Things get more and more complicated as life goes on. But the truth is, ladies, especially for those of you who seem to always be in a cycle where relationships are concerned, and this is not what we're talking about today, this codependency. It does not only affect your romantic relationships, it affects your entire life, right? And you would realize that, you know, you have different cycles, issues, problems. After one thing is the next, and it seems like a lot, but there's actually just a handful of solutions. So sometimes you think, okay, well, I need help with this, I need help with that. Why this happening? And you don't connect the issues in your life. But the truth is, there's just a handful of things that can actually really help you at the root, right? And so from the beginning of time, we have been programmed, especially women. Well, I shouldn't say that. Both men and women have been programmed to believe lies about, especially about ourselves, lies about God. And these core issues and these lies that we believe are still affecting our life tremendously. And sometimes those lies could be the core issue of why certain things keep happening to you over and over and over. This world has been skillfully designed, ladies. If you don't know, I'm telling you this tonight. This world and its system, the way this world is set up and designed, has nothing to do with God, right? Ladies, watch me in my eyes. I know I have one glass, but watch me in my eyes. It has nothing to do with God. The systems of this world, how it is run, that this is not God's plan. God actually gave mankind, gave us men and women dominion over the earth, over the world. And we are basically the ones running the world, not God. So I don't know if that is news to you, right? This is a statement that a lot of people say that is so not true. When people say God is in control of everything, that is not true. Ladies, again, watch me in my eyes. That cannot be true. If God was in control of everything, then what kind of God would he be? Think about it. I mean, what you think? If you were in control of everything, what would you fix immediately? Let me see some of your answers. You all of a sudden you get this supernatural control over the world. You could fix, you have power. Let me ask some of y'all in the comments. You could type it. What would be the first thing you would do? Right? Let me see these answers. These might be very, very interesting answers. You are full control. It's no longer God, it's you. I've seen Rhonda, Sherry. Sherry is in control. Nicole is in control of the world. Right? Anika is in control of the world. Let me hear you all. Sarana is in control of the world. End poverty. No debt, no sickness. Right? Let me see some more answers. You are in control. Good answers so far. No poverty, no debt, no sickness. What else? End sadness. Nice answer. Right? Now, if so, think about it, right? If you were in control, you are the one that had control of everything going on in the world. You all have already started saying the things that you all would do, and everything that you all are saying sounds good. Cause everyone to love each other. End hunger, famine, wars. No crime, right? No crime. Better family life, right? Yes, Dina. Better family life is a solution for a lot of problems, right? So, right. So you all get the idea. You all understand what I say. Victoria, I love it. Forever young, and I love it. Why not? Well, if you're forever young, I was going to say there would be no sickness, but they have young people, I guess, sick, right? Perfection. So, ladies, you get the idea of what I'm saying, right? To say that God is in control of the world is actually an accusation of his character, of his goodness, of his holiness, of his love for us. Because y'all are saying there are horrible things. Basically, you all know there are horrible things going on in the world, right? There are women being enslaved right now as sexual slaves all over the world, being abducted, kidnapped, to be sex slaves, to all. Listen, that happens every single day, right? And God is not in control of that. That is mankind taking the dominion that God gave them over the world and operating in their free will and making these choices that are evil, right? It is not God. But from the beginning of time, Satan, came to put these thoughts in our mind about God and about his character and about who he is. In fact, the first deception was that Satan lied, well, caused Adam and Eve to believe a lie and to make them believe that God was actually lying to them. All right, and they bought into that lie. And from that time, ladies, we have been deceived about God, about ourselves, right? And so I'm building a foundation, right? So work with me because I want to help you all at the core, at the root, right? It's not just by now you figure out that it's not just a surface thing that's happening with in your life, right? So the world has been skillfully designed to always have us reaching for something on the outside, right? Something we see on a billboard, something we see on a commercial, something we see in a movie, something we read in a book, right? Something that we lack and we need to obtain in order to be happy, in order to be satisfied, in order to be fulfilled, in order to see more perfect, in order to see more successful, right? That is how, I mean, I don't know if anybody could argue with me about that. That is how, that is what marketing is about, advertising. That is from a child we grew up always wanting something more to get better, look better, feel better, be smarter, to be the success. But it's always on the outside. I always have to obtain. I always have to, and the system of the world always has our gaze. We always has our gaze and our stares and our affections on things on the outside that look better than what we have, right? So it's, you're always in a state of thinking that you lack, and it's listen, it's a skillful system designed by Satan. So you're always in a state of feeling that you lack because of what you're seeing out there that looks so perfect and that looks so put together. Maybe a book that you might have read or a movie. Some people, listen, I heard very recently a woman said, yeah, well, that's correct English there, right? That she basically built her whole life and marriage growing as a teenager and into a young adult on Ken and Barbie. You all know the Barbie doll and Ken, right? Anybody had a Barbie? Let me see if you had a Barbie in the comments. Let me see anybody who had a Barbie. I don't know if Barbie's still around, but when I was a child, you could not own a Barbie. You had to, another thing that you had to have, right? I seen the hands going up. Yep, right? You had to have a Barbie doll, right? And along with Barbie, right? Barbie didn't just come, so Barbie came with clothes. Barbie had physique. Barbie had hair. Barbie had it all, right? Used to chop her hair. Yeah. Shani said she had a lot. Yeah. Every time they upgrade Barbie, you want Barbie, right? And then they get smart and they introduce Ken. And then they start with the Sherry said too expensive. Yeah, well, my mother used to make sure she buy, right? They start with the Ken and they start with this ideal about marriage and the perfect marriage. Ken and Barbie, Ken perfect, Ken teeth perfect. I don't know if you ever saw the Ken and they have the cartoons, Barbie cartoons, and Barbie perfect, Ken perfect. It's like listen, from small, I don't know what is the popular doll now. I don't know if there's a doll. I don't know if there's still, because I know everybody woke, everybody woke now in the world. So I don't know if Barbie accepted again, because Barbie is a stereotype, right? Barbie skinny, she shaped a certain way, and she have a certain type of hair. So I feel somehow Barbie's going on phase out. I could be wrong, but I feel like going phase out, right? But anyway, we as young women grew up. If you were into sitcoms, everybody looked a certain way. It has different races of Barbies now. Yeah, my mom tried to buy a different race Barbie for me, and I was not having it though. I wasn't having it. I was too indoctrinated. It done program me. I was done hypnotized. I don't think the white Barbie with the blonde hair and it was it. So you're gonna try to bring a black Barbie for me now? I was like, Mommy, what's this? What's this? What's really this, right? It's what the world did to us, right? But my mom tried, but I was like, nah, not having it, right? I'm gonna stick to my traditional Barbie. But I know the world, I know by now Barbie probably extinct, right? So, but I'm saying all that to say, ladies, that as simple as as simple as it is, there are people who build their lives and their dreams and their hopes around these core things that affected their lives as children and teenagers and young adults, certain types of movies, books, and a lot of times, so you're always trying now to obtain this ideal that you have in your head. Most times it's a fantasy. The fantasy marriage, the fantasy husband, the fantasy job, the fantasy body, how you should look, how you should dress, and it's like you just program, and the world does that. I remember when I mean, I don't know what year Keeping Up with the Kardashians came out. I don't know if you all remember. It's quite that was running for quite a while, because I remember the first time I ever saw one of the episodes, it was, I can't remember how much years, but I know it was a long time ago, right? So if anybody remember what year, maybe you could say. But if you are constantly looking at a reality show like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you would be, and it, it become a part of your daily life. You're excited, you want to see the next episode, thing. Subconsciously, after a while, when you see their lifestyle, you subconsciously you try to look at, well, I mean, I don't know how much of you are trying to look like Kim, because I mean, how Kim looks is due to plastic surgery. And I don't know if anybody on this call is wealthy enough to afford that amount of plastic surgery, right? Um, but it's a picture that the world is painting for us, and especially ladies. I think the pressure is especially more for ladies, right? Yes, Sherry. Um, and you're looking at these people's lifestyle styles, and you are trying in your little way, because certainly you can't do it like they're doing it. Like you can't do it like them, right? You're trying to attain a little piece of that pie, and it does influence your thinking. You might say, "Nah, I just watching that as entertainment," but listen, if you are looking at that constantly, episode after episode after episode after episode, it is going to affect your thinking eventually, right? Certain things you're going to pick up, certain ways of life, their money, yeah. Um, and so it's a vicious cycle that the world has us in, especially us women, right? Always looking to be better, and that always looking for something outside that we don't have on the inside to make us satisfied, to make us happy. Always putting us, the world marketing it always has us in a place of lack. And that is Satan's plan as well, ladies, right? For those of you on the call for the first time, sorry. This is, well, Celeste did say it, right? This initiative comes from a church. We are Christian, right? A Christian background. I'm a pastor. My husband and myself, we pastor a church. We've been doing that for like over 15 years. And so as much as there are natural solutions to the problems that we face, there's always a spiritual solution. And most times the spiritual solution is the ones that um, when we decide to use the spiritual solution instead of the natural, or both, or mix it, it kind of is the thing that's going to last, right? As opposed to going by a psychiatrist week after week trying to do self-help. There's a help that could actually be permanent, right? And so this is why I would talk about natural, but there's a spiritual side, right? So if you hear me talking about Satan, it's because I think I live long enough to know he real, and I've seen what his word can do and his deception can do in people's lives, right? And he's the master of this world. He's the one. The Bible actually says he's the prince of this world, right? And so he's the one that has everybody, well, in the world, the powers that be, going the way they are, right? Um, yeah, so down to the criteria, ladies, talking about the world still, right? Down to the criteria used to choose a spouse, how we measure beauty, how we measure success, and how we view ourselves, how we view God. These things are deeply engraved in our subconscious by this world system, right? The criteria that women and men use to choose, when it's time to get married, a lot of those criteria really, it comes from the world, right? How you view your own self. Most times people are deceived. Most times you cannot see your own, people, women and men, but especially women, they're not able to see their own self-worth, their own value, their own beauty. Somebody has to come and tell them, has to bring it out, right? That has all been designed by Satan, right? Um, and I don't know if you all realize what's happening, but of late, in the past few years, um, they have been coming up with a lot of emotional disorders, and they have names for them, right? ACD, BCD, RCD, LCD, QRS. I just making up, right? Because I just picking initial letters from the alphabet and putting them together. But we know it have OCD, ACD, attention, no, ADHD, right? All kind of. You just pick some letters from the alphabet, put them together, and you have an emotional disorder. Many, right? But there are very few solutions, right? And so what we're gonna go in tonight, yes, yes. I mean, as I said, there's a spiritual side, but a lot of what we go through is really self-inflicted, right? Um, so the solutions are few, but the disorders are many, right? I was watching a video, this is just a side note. I was watching a video the other day of a lady, I think it was ADHD. Celeste, is ADHD the one that attention, where your attention, you're easily distracted?
Yeah.
Right. She was doing a video and she started off, I think she was cleaning, washing wares, and then she see the scissors on the side of the sink, and she went and picked up the scissors, and she cut open an envelope, and then she was reading it, then she put that down, she see something, and then she ended up in front of the TV watching Netflix after all. And I could have related to that so much. I was like, oh my gosh. Now I could watch that and say, well, so maybe I have this disorder. But I mean, it's not a disorder. I just need to focus and do what I have to do and plan my day properly. It's not a disorder, but I am like that. I would start doing something with all my might and think, I say, yeah, I'm gonna finish this. And while doing it, I would be distracted by something I see or a thought or I hear, and I go on. And then when I'm doing that, I remember, shucks, I was doing this. And I try to go back, and I don't have no disorder. I know what my problem is, right? And I know what the solution is too. But don't try to put no disorder on me, right? Right. So, ladies, I want you all to listen. I want you to take notes, right? I want you to listen and take notes, because a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be really eye-opening for you, right? And I'm going to give you all an opportunity at the end to ask questions, right? A healthy emotional life functions around some very basic, simple realities. It's not rocket science. You don't have to go to a psychiatrist. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars getting treatment, taking tablets, some simple basic things that I'm going to try to go through today, right? And we're going to start with the principle of the fruit and the root, right? One tree can grow many, many fruits, and it does this every year. Right now it's mango season, right? Sometimes it looks, right? If we look at life in the natural, and we look at the natural things that God has given us, right? When it's not mango season and you watch your mango tree, you say, there's no fruit, and you think, well, what will happen? But then when the season come around, when the year pass, or however often mangoes in season, you start to see fruit, right? And no matter how much mangoes you pick off that tree, when it is mango season, when it come around again, you're going to see more fruit, right? The source of the growth is the root. So you have to solve the problem at the root, right? Because if you just keep picking fruit, it's going to grow back. So think of your life, ladies, now like a tree, right? And think of the seasons in your life. Many times what we do, the fruit in our life is dysfunction. So you have a dysfunctional marriage, you have a dysfunctional relationship with your children, you always find yourself in confusion in your job, you're always in lack financially, and it seems like at sometimes it seems like you've solved it. So basically you cut the fruit, because the fruit is what you see, the dysfunction, right? The fruit is the problems, the lack, the insecurity, and you think there's seasons where things look like everything sort out normal because you're not seeing the fruit, right? But then if it's just that you picking fruits, so you're dealing with the core issue. So let me give you a example of what that will look like, right? I'll use myself. I will use myself. That's always the best place to go, so nobody can say, well, she's talking about me, right? Two examples. I am constantly trying to lose weight, constantly, right? I mean, I was gonna say not that I'm overweight, but I'm overweight, right? I'm overweight. I know. I'm 5 feet tall, right? And it's too much, right? Weight, right? But as you get older, how many of you all have figured out as you get older, it's not like when you're in your 20s and you just had a steady word diet and you drop 2 pounds, right? When you start to hit late 30s, 40s, and like me going into 50s, it's not that easy to lose weight, right? But it has always been something that I would be constantly trying to either maintain a certain weight or lose, right? And what I would do, this is an example of dealing with just the fruit. And just like cleaning up the outside for it to look like it's not dysfunctional again, but not dealing with the root, right? So I would say, okay, I'm going on a diet. I'm going on a diet, right? So I'm going to be 50 in a few months. And from the time I was in my 30s, I've been saying when I put on too much weight, I go on a diet. And yes, I will lose the weight. I will drop a few pounds and I'll start to look better, in my opinion, and feel better. My clothes will fit me better and I'll feel good and I'll say, yeah, I did it. But guess what? In a matter of months, maybe if I'm lucky, in a matter of a year, I start to see the weight coming back on, right? And so that means that I thought I deal with the roots. I thought I fixed my problem now. But then next year, I start seeing some fruit again. I'm using me as an example. My fruit in this case, fat or bad eating habits, right? Lack of exercise, no discipline, right? That's my root, right? And if I have not dealt with those core things, I could go on a little crash diet for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, right? We do something in our church called the biggest loser ever so often. And the biggest loser meaning how much pounds you lose, and you have a cash prize, right? And we help each other. We start a group, we share menus, diets, but it's actually a competition, right? And you could, well, they just say you could have to do the healthy way, but I don't ever take them on. If I had to starve myself to win, I would do it, right? Which I've done. But that don't ever work. That don't work, right? Because after the diet, it works for you to lose the weight like initially, but the core issue is not that I need to go on a diet. I need to change my whole lifestyle, my thinking, how I see health, how I see myself, my everything before I could actually maintain the weight that I want, right? But I just keep dealing with the fruit, not the root. And so I keep putting back on weight. And it has become part of my identity and something that I have accepted, right? There are some people who will not accept certain things in their life. And from the time they put on 2 extra pounds, they would do something about it, right? But I am comfortable, clearly comfortable being overweight, in my opinion, because I'm not dealing with it on a daily basis. I don't see it as something that I should do as part of who I am, right? Another issue that I see that popping up in my life. I am not the most organized person in terms of like the home and stuff, but I try. Listen, I would try year after year. The start of this year, I tried hard. I mean, and those of you who know me and would come home by me, right? I'm just being transparent. You know, sometimes you'd come and my house would look like something explode in it, like a bomb explode up, you know, right? But this year I started making an effort to, instead of letting things get out of hand, as a little bit build up, right? As it build up a little bit, I'll deal with it. I wouldn't say tomorrow. From the time I see something that's out of place or that's, I would deal with it then. And for a very long time, I was able to maintain the place would be clean or whatever, right? But when I start getting extremely busy, I start to overlook that because at my core, I don't see it as priority. I actually don't like doing it. And in that area, I might be a bit lazy, right? And so some months gone, I was going good, and bam, if you come now, it looked like a bomb explode again, right? In the living room. But I know what the core issue is. It's just I have not dealt with it, right? Because of laziness. And I just being honest with myself, right? And so that's it for me. But for you, right? There's certain things that you keep trying to deal with. I know people that have financial issues in their life, and their way of clearing up that lack, fixing those issues, is taking loans ever so often. I have a friend, almost every year or every other year, he would contact me. This is how we would catch up. He would contact me to tell me, hey, I'll use you as a referencer. So expect a call from, well, it started off being the banks years ago, but now it's credit unions because I don't think they could go to the bank anymore. I don't think they could go to any bank, right? So we would catch up when they call me to tell me that they use me as a reference. And I'm not lying. This has been over a 15-year period. And I got a call recently from the person and I was shocked. I was like, this person's still trying to get out of their debt by taking loans. And they reached down to credit union now because I'm sure what it means is the bank's not entertaining them anymore. right? And so that is an example of dealing with the fruit, picking the fruit and throwing it away and thinking, okay, we fix now, and not the root. It will come back at you next year, next 2 years, if you don't deal with the root cause of why you continually experiencing lack in your life. And that's what I want to help you all with, right? So we have to deal with the roots, ladies. By dealing with the roots or the core issues in your life, you could eliminate a lot of problems that actually you think are unrelated. So you think that your cycle of bad relationships is not related to the reason why you're always in lack, but they actually are. Or you think that your bad relationship with your boyfriend or every guy you get close to is not related to your relationship with your parents or whatever, but it actually is, right? And so, but you've never dealt with the core, and so you have not seen how this one root problem is affecting your life, right? Identifying and understanding the root issues will bring freedom that is never found by just cutting down fruit, right? The root is the cause, ladies, and the fruit is the symptom. It's the thing that you see, the dysfunction that you see. Fruit is what we see. It is the dysfunctional behavior. It is what we present to the world around us. The root is a belief that empowers the system, right? Or the cycle. The root feeds the system or the cycle just like it feeds the fruit on the tree. So so the dysfunction that you're seeing in your life is being fed by the core issues that you have never dealt with, right? Without the root, the fruit will die, the dysfunction will die, the issues will die, and you will begin to make better, healthier choices in your life, right? So let me give you all a basic definition of codependency, right? And codependency is one of the root issues for a lot of adults. And the reason why I say adults is because children have to be dependent. They have no choice. But as an adult, codependency is the root cause of plenty of your problems, especially relationship problems, mostly relationship problems, right? So a simple definition of codependency would be to look to someone or something outside of yourself to meet a need that can only be met by yourself or through a relationship with God, right? Um, if you go to a psychologist, a counselor, or whatever, in the world, they wouldn't mention God. They would say that it's a need that you have to meet yourself, right? But I know different. I know that there's some needs that only God can meet in our lives, and we look to other people to meet those needs, and it is impossible. Only God could do it, right? And in some cases, yes, you have to start to view yourself differently, but only God can actually give you the right view of yourself, having a relationship with Him, right? In relation to people, the codependent tends to depend on others for something he or she has no right to expect from that person, right? An example would be a codependent person often seeks approval from others as a substitute for self-worth, right? I didn't get to see that comment, something about counseling. I'm sorry, I didn't get to read it, right? But we can probably come back after and I'll address whatever questions you have, right? So listen to this, ladies, right? The codependent often seeks the approval of others as a substitute for self-worth, right? So you are seeking approval from other people, but what you should really have is self-worth. And if you have self-worth and you understand your value, you will not seek approval from others. It would not be the thing that you feel you need to feel valued if you have self-worth. But we often, most people go to the substitute, right? You might depend on others to make you feel happy, to even help you make decisions. You feel that, okay, it's most common in a marriage. And now, please, I want to be clear here, right? If you're getting married, marriage requires the husband to fulfill a certain role and the wife, right? And if I'm getting married, it's for love. I should be getting married for nothing else. It should be because, well, the person's supposed to have different other, criteria and so on. But the core reason is supposed to be I love this person and vice versa. And it's a romantic thing. Marriage is a romantic relationship, right? There's intimacy involved, there's children, there's family involved. And so as a woman, you'd expect to be treated a certain way by someone who loves you romantically. It's obvious. I'm not going to marry somebody, although some women do. And again, that's a core issue and from their self-worth. I'm not going to marry somebody who's slapping me. I will never marry somebody who's cussing me. Um, I would not marry somebody who calls me names, who pulls me down, right? If you're already married and those things are happening to you, I would advise you seek help, counseling, right? But if you're not married, ladies, and you're in a relationship with someone who is not, you don't feel love from that person. The only love you feel, and it's not really love, is when you're having sex. You feel, this great boy, this sex worth sticking around. Or maybe he he's a good provider. You're not married to the person, but he always taking you out. He's buy clothes for you. Um, he's spending money, thing. Or he looks great. And you thinking to yourself, man, I can't get a next man like this. So you're taking strippingness because in your opinion, you think he's a catch. And to let him go, you'd be a fool, right? And so all of those are not reasons to stay with someone or get married to someone. If the person is not treating you in a loving, kind way, is not affirming you and building you up, encouraging you, and that's not somebody that you want to marry. They're doing the opposite of that, right? Um, so there are certain things that is expected in a marriage from your spouse, right? However, right, it is too much. Ladies, listen to me. Watch me in my eyes. This is one you have to watch me in my eyes for. It is too much and it is unfair, and you should not expect from your husband to fulfill all your emotional needs and to fulfill all of the ideals that you have in your mind as what a husband is supposed to be, to fulfill all of it all of the time. It is unrealistic. There's no perfect man out there. All right. And so, but remember, I'm saying this based on what I said before, that there are things that you should be getting from a husband, from a love relationship, right? But in a marriage, any married ladies on the call? So I could get some help here so you all could help, right? Any married ladies? Let me see how much married ladies we have on the call. Let's see the married woman. Let me see if anybody married over 10 years. If you're married over 10 years, yeah. We have Dana, seen some married people. Anybody married over 10 years? Let me see. Over 10 years married. I'm waiting to see what happened. Okay, Dina, married over 10 years. Nice. Anybody else? Akisha, close. 8 years, close. I want to see if we have anybody over 10 years, married over 10 years. Must have one person married over 10 years, man. I can't be the oldest person on this call. Come now. Okay, all right. So somebody's 9 years. Okay, Dina, you said, right? So Dina, you could type in the comments, right? Or you could unmute your mic. Whoosh, 22 years, but married for, wow. Okay. 16 years, Keisha said. Okay, wow. Anybody who has been married for a while, right? I don't know anybody. I don't know if there's anybody on this call who has been married for over a certain amount of time who has not, at some point in their marriage, felt either unloved or like you're not getting what you should or your husband not fulfilling his role, or you feel neglected at times, you feel like well, basically that your husband is not meeting your emotional needs, like he's absent emotionally at times, right? I mean, if you've been married over a certain time and you've never felt that way, then listen, great. That means you're married an exceptional man, and that's wonderful. But in my experience, I mean, and I would ask the ladies on the call who are married, right? There are times where your husband and even you, if you were to be honest with yourself, fall short. And I have come to realize I'm married 21 years this month on the 7th. My anniversary is the 17th of June. I'll be married 21 years, right? And I have come to realize that I cannot expect my husband to meet all my emotional needs all the time. It's actually too much pressure to put on someone, right? And so you might say, but then who gonna meet my needs? Who gonna add? I have this need. Who gonna meet it? And I'm not talking about sex and physical things. You could get ladies, you could get that anywhere. Oh gosh, no. Let me clarify that. What I mean is, not if you're married. Even if you're not married, right? Let me fix that. What I mean is, you all know too that having sex with somebody doesn't mean you're in love with them or that there's love there. You can have sex and there's no love involved, right? You all know that, right? By now, those of you who are mature and have been out there, living, you're out there, right? So I'm not talking about physical, but I'm talking about, the emotional needs they might have. You might feel a certain way, you might feel a void, you might feel insecure about certain things. Sometimes you want reassurance, sometimes you're looking for a little compliment, a little encouragement, and the person not there. Thank God somebody understood, right? Because y'all could have taken that statement real out of, yeah. And because of my relationship with God, ladies, I have come to realize that at the times in my marriage, any times in my life, not only through marriage, that I felt maybe rejected or hurt or neglected, right? I have always turned to God to meet those needs. I've always turned to Him. So I would always go to Him with the feeling that I have, the feeling of lack in that moment, or the feeling of hurt, or whatever it is, or rejection. I would go to Him, and I have discovered over the years that He, God, has always been able to fill the void, to just by being who He is. Now, it might be hard for you to understand how if you don't have a relationship with God, but you could describe Him like a consuming fire. And by that I mean, if you really do come into the presence of God and have a real relationship with Him, being in the presence of God and spending time with Him and allowing Him to be the one to fill your needs and heal your heart and so on, it really does take your focus away from what you could get on the outside, and you realize that you actually have everything you already need on the inside. And so I have not ever been in a place of, let's say, devastation, because of not being able to get a need met by somebody who, let's say, I love. Let's say my husband, and it hasn't owned. My relationship with my dad at one point was not the best either, and my dad and I were very close at one point in my life. And you could ask yourself questions with my own father. Why would he do this? Is it that he don't love me? Why would he say these things? Why would he and if you don't have the security of the love of God in you and knowing who you are in Christ and what He has done for you, those things could devastate you and make you feel less than, like I'm lacking something. But I've always been able to go to God and always feel refreshed, revived, right? And that's God has always been my source in those times. To the point where, and again, I don't know how this would sound. I don't know if people will understand. I'm not saying a bad thing. God knows I'm not saying a bad thing, right? But this is something my husband would always say, right? I have come to the point in my life where it comes to anybody that I could look at anybody, my husband, my daughter, my father, my best friend, whoever, and say to them, I love you, I care about you, but I don't need anything from you. So that in a situation like that, whatever it is, you may not be giving me that I feel that I need, but I don't need it, right? I don't feel like I need something from you, from anybody on the outside to make me feel worthy, to make me feel valuable, to make me feel fulfilled, or to make me feel happy, right? Ladies, if your happiness in life is dependent on another human being, you are in trouble. If you are dependent on, if you're single and you want to get married and you think that when you get married, you're going to be happy all the time, or this is the answer to your loneliness, that's actually a deception. And so I'm not saying that you can have moments of happiness, right? Of course, there are things that make me feel happy on the outside. Of course, please don't think I'm saying nothing can make me feel other. Listen, have sometimes you spend time with somebody and they make you laugh. You eat ice cream, you're happy. You travel, things make you happy. You watch a movie, you're happy, of course. But if I am looking for my source of happiness, for me to feel continually in that place of contentment, if I'm looking for other people and other things to meet that need, then I would be in trouble, right? Because if you have lived long enough, ladies, you will, and I would hope by now you realize nobody can do that for you, right? You all agree with me there? That nobody can make you feel happy all the time. Some people say, well, yeah, my child thing. Well, even your children is gay vex, right? And sometimes there's not only the gay vex, they could be the cause of distress in your life as well, especially when they get big and start to make stupid decisions, right? So, ladies, I hope you agree with me when I say that nobody should be, no human being, no substance either, no form of entertainment, nothing should be the source of your happiness, because all of those things are not um constant. I cannot depend on any other human being to be constant. I cannot depend on my husband to be one way all the time. He's a human being like me. I am not one way all the time. Sometimes we put pressure on people to fulfill our needs that we wouldn't even put on our own self, because we know that we are imperfect human beings. And ladies, we're moody. All you're moody, all you're agreeing with me, all you're moody. When it's time, when that time of the month comes, aren't you a little cranky? Aren't you a little aggressive at times, a little controlling, a little, you're moody. And ladies, you could be moody. Talk to me. Talk to me. Or are you all perfect all the time? Are you a perfect source of happiness to anyone? Answer me. Right? Yeah, of course, we're moody. We have issues. Very moody, right? We have issues. And so you of yourself, right? Don't try to be anybody's source of happiness or joy or contentment. You will fall short. And if you understand that about yourself, you should not put that pressure on anybody else to be your constant, to be your happiness. You shouldn't. Everybody in your life will fall short in that area, because if there's no perfect person, I only know one person that could do that, and that is God. That is Jesus. That's having a relationship with him, right? And when I talk about being happy all the time, I don't mean walking around laughing. I mean that on the inside of me, there's a peace, there's a joy knowing who I am, knowing who God is, and knowing that he has my back, knowing that he loves me, and experiencing his love and being in his presence. Those things are very satisfying. But you have to get to that place, right? Yes, darling, Hyundai. If you, yeah. Well, I mean, I would like to ask you if there's anybody in your life that has been a constant source of happiness. I would think that once you're old enough, you'd realize that human beings fail, right? Husbands fail. Not saying that they don't love you, but they are imperfect and they have issues too. And they sometimes they going through their emotional stuff, and so they don't even have in them at the time what it takes to to make you happy or to make you feel. So we can't look to them, we can't look to anybody, ladies, right? I'm not saying, so let me clarify myself, right? um there are people who can bring moments of happiness in your life, but that person or thing cannot be your source. Okay, anything that you are making your source, ladies, make sure it's an infinite source, that it cannot run out. If I'm making anything my source, it has to be something that is never going to finish, never going to be empty, always going to have, that I could always go to and draw from. And only one person I know could do that, is God, right? There's nobody that could do that in your life. Amen. God, right? So, yeah, I said all that to say that the perfect example of a codependent relationship is husbands and wives. Yes, we do expect certain things from each other, and we should get certain emotional needs met, physical, social, financial, all of that. Your husband still should not be your source, because he will fall short, right? And so, like, in relationships, it is actually even normal that people think that a marriage is supposed to be a codependent thing. And so, did I read the definition of codependent? Let me read it again. To look to someone or something outside of yourself to meet a need that could only be met by yourself or through a relationship with God, right? Um, and we should not look to someone to fulfill those needs or to be a source, because that is be asking, that is expecting too much from one human being, right? um Anytime our behavior is driven by insecurity or feeling of lack, which, ladies, by the way, the world clearly designed for us to be, right? Where your behavior is driven by insecurity or feeling of lack, the behavior is a codependent expression, right? So, and in relationships and marriage, that is actually encouraged, right? It's like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. But what most people do is, when he stops scratching your back, you stop scratching his, right? um it takes somebody who is really secure in themselves and in the love of God to continue scratching after he stops scratching, right? Because, ladies, you know it hard that if he ain't giving you or doing something that you want, or he not acting the way he should or whatever, for you to continue scratching. And you know what I mean? I don't mean literally scratching his back. I mean for you to continue loving, for you to continue showing love. If he stop, most times you stop. By that, I don't mean you stop loving him totally, but you start to show a little bad treatment. So if he stopped doing, if he coming home late every night, or every night, all right, let me use that example. Every night he going and sleep early. Every night he tired. He tired. Nah, you want to get a little action, right? This is an adult forum, right? You want to get a little action, but every night he coming home and he turning it back and saying, "Girl, I tired, girl." Um, yeah, I hear you, Dina. As I said, it takes somebody who's really completing themselves. Every night he turning his back and saying, "Girl, I tired," and you start to feel rejected. Like, is something wrong with me? Why you don't want to have sex with me? Right? What is wrong with me? And you think your mind start to go all over the place now. Not so, maybe he has somebody else, maybe all kind of things start to go in your mind. But in this scenario, he really just tired. He just tired. He real tired, right? Um, and then now a week pass and you're mad. You're mad because a whole week he reject you, right? But you get back his strength and thing. You take some vitamins and you take a little rest over the weekend, and you're ready for your Monday, say, or Sunday. Yeah, I'm ready for you. And yeah, and you now remember in last week how your back didn't get scratched, and so you refusing to scratch his back, right? Because you're like, no. In your mind, you mightn't say it, but someone only bad enough to say it. I go get you a piece of your own medicine. You was rejecting me last week. Take that. You stay there. You stay there with yourself there and go and take a bath. Go and take a cold shower. Nothing for you this week, right? I know all your real, I know it, right? It's hard. It is hard, but that is what marriage has become for a lot of people, right? You scratch my back, I scratch yours. As long as you are loving me the way I want to feel loved, I will love you. But from the time anything changed and things started to get rocky, your behavior changed. That's a codependent relationship, ladies. Nobody's behavior is supposed to actually affect yours. So I'm not saying um, that's not true. I don't agree with that, Gina, that women are supposed to make a greater effort. I actually think the men are the ones that's supposed to make the greater effort. But you can't even evaluate love like that, because real love cannot be evaluated that way, where you make more effort and I make more effort. And if you think about how much you love your children, you'd understand what I'm saying. You don't wait for them to love you back a certain way. You know what is required of you as a mother, and you give and you give and you sacrifice and you sacrifice. You would sacrifice whatever it takes for that child. That's love. And the love for your husband is supposed to be no different. Now, let me clarify, because some always saying, what this woman saying? So the man treating me bad, slapping me up, and I just had to turn the cheek and smile and say, baby, I love you. No, I'm not talking about in that kind of dysfunction. I'm talking about situations where the person is just not meeting what you think is your emotional need at that time, or whatever is your, it could even be financial. You're begging him for, let's say it's a situation where he's more financially secure, and you're begging him for what is beg for? What woman is beg for? I don't know. In terms of material things, you want a new living room set. You want a new living room set. Shoes. I go and buy your own shoes. Women don't beg again. I like that, Akisha. That's what we talking about. We're talking about begging, and nobody begging again. You want a new living room set. You can't afford it, but he have the money, right? And you're asking him, oh gosh, I want a new living over and over and over, and he's not giving you. Are you still going to be making breakfast for him happily, making lunch for him happily? Or is it a case of, well, you ain't giving me this, so my attitude change? Or that's not love, and that is a codependent relationship, right? That is love if that's not unconditional love, right? So codependency is real, and it shows up a lot in marriage, but then also in other areas of our life, right? Okay. Codependency, when you have that situation of codependency in any relationship, it actually gives you a false sense of security. The relationship is actually built on a false sense of security, especially in a love relationship. It's a dangerous thing to do, because most love relationships, romantic relationships, start off fiery, or at least it's supposed to. I don't know if that's happened again. It's supposed to be, you're all head over heels, you're in love with the person, and when you're caught in the initial stages, the person doing everything to woo you and to win you over, flowers, chocolates, dinner, long phone calls, and all that kind of thing, right? And as long as they treat you that way, you excited and you happy to do things for them too. So you do this, you buy that, you buy him a tie or whatever, something for his car, whatever, and you build your relationship on that, because you're receiving that kind of, so your love for the person, right, is a big deception. It's actually based on how they love you, not the fact that you just love them unconditionally. That it's just, I love this person. I love them because of all these things they do for me. And what happens sometimes in a marriage, you start off still buying the chocolates and the flowers and whatever, and the romance or whatever. But after a while, maybe 1, 2, 3 children down the road, those things probably die off because of time, commitment, bills to pay, everybody working hard, trying to just live now. And you as a woman or a man could feel neglected. And you start thinking, well, okay, what used to happen in the earlys, I don't feel that way again. And it's not that the man don't love you. Life happened. Life happened, right? Ideally, in an ideal situation, if the man realizes that the woman is feeling neglected, he will, what is supposed to happen is like, you know what, gosh, my wife, because I love her, right? I realize I'm neglecting her. Let me take her out for a little dinner. Let me make her feel special and whatever, right? But this is what you have to consider, ladies. What if he doesn't? What if life just continues happening? What then? Are you gonna get divorced? What are you gonna do? So you have to think now, is this really love? Is this really my partner? Is this really my husband? Is this person that I become one with? Am I going to part with myself? Because the Bible says two shall become one, because I'm not getting my emotional needs met. So many people don't get married thinking about those things, right? And they think that they would always have that source of love and affection and stuff. But what I want to encourage you all, before you get married, make sure that you are in a place, in a relationship with God, where you know that He is your source, and not that you're going into a marriage expecting less, but you're not going into a marriage though expecting that this man is now my source of everything. I'm never going to be lonely. I'm never going to be sad anymore. I'm never going to have all the financial troubles because now I'm married and it's two on both salaries, because life just don't work out perfect like that all the time, right? Um, so, right. So let me give you an example. The controlling person may need others. This is not necessarily in a love relationship, right? A controlling person may need others, this sounds a bit like a narcissist, right? May need others to agree and submit as a way to boost their struggle with self-worth, right? That person will instinctively seek out a relationship with someone whose insecurities drive them to give in to their control. So let's say let's say a man is really insecure. At the core, he's insecure and lacks self-worth, but he masks it. The fruit of that root, right, is control. So the root is really insecurity and self-worth, but he's masking it. The fruit that you see is a controlling, strong man who wants you to agree with everything and submit and treat him like Lord, basically, right? He always right. You have to basically submit to everything he say, right? But it's really a cover-up. A man like that will always find himself in a relationship with a woman who's insecure and actually wants to be controlled, actually does not want the responsibility of making her own decisions. She actually is so insecure that she does want a man to control her. She will never say those words, but it is in fact one of her core issues because of her insecurities, right? And so you will leave that man and you'll end up with another one and say, but how I always ending up with these narcissists, boy? How I always ending up, how they just find me or what? How did this find me so? Come, ladies, think with me. Think with me. What is the common factor in all your relationships? The common denominator. What is the common thing? You were with 5 guys. All of them had a certain way, all of them, and you say, but what's it? How these men? What is the one common denominator? Talk to me in the chat. What's the common thing? Talk to me. I want to hear. I want all you to say it so you'd be able to do some searching, right? Maybe lack of no. You had 5 guys, right? Each relationship didn't work, and each time it was some problem that you said the guy had, right? Each time, 5 different guys. You, thank you, me, right? Well, you, me, I know what all you mean, right? The common denominator is you. So you cannot blame the 5 men. How they find you in truth? How the 5 men find you? All men are not the same. But you keep hooking up with the same kind. All jobs are not the same. But you keep taking the same kind of jobs. Or you keep thinking that you are only qualified to do this type of job. Right? Ladies, the common factor, the common denominator, the thing that needs the fixing is you, not everything else around you. That's not realistic to think that everything is a problem but you, right? If all your relationships are failing, or let's say you are in a relationship for 5, 10 years, right? 3, 4, 5, going on 10 years. And it's a cycle. Year after year, things get good, then they get bad. They get good, then they get bad. It is unrealistic to think that one morning you are going to wake up and it's going to be good forever, right? Cycles do not just end like that. It has to end at the root, has to be chopped down. And until the root has been dealt with, which is always, ladies, look at me in my eyes, watching my eyes, always with you, not with the other person. A codependent person at their core will never admit that they are the root or that they could be the cause. They would always look externally to blame everything. They will never look within. And you can never fix the core issues in your life if you think it's everybody around you that has the problem. Who needs to fix? It has to be you. The root is inside of you, right? And so that is a real deception that we have. And many people don't like to look within. They prefer to look without and blame, right, from on the outside. Now, again, everything within reason, ladies, right? You can be in a situation where you are being treated unfairly. I'm not saying that. But how did you get there and why are you still there? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself, right? But you can't be in a situation where you're being hurt over and over. Why do you think it is acceptable to stay in a situation where you can be hurt over and over and over and over? What makes you think something has you there? You getting something too, because why else would you be there? Right? We are, as human beings, God made us to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. So if I'm staying in a situation where it's constant pain and I have a choice, I'm there because there's something I'm getting out of it, right? Okay, so I want you all to write. So remember, I asked you all to get pen and paper, right? Not yet, but we're coming up to that close, right? Right. So in my life, ladies, and counseling many people over years, I realized somebody said much earlier in the chats that after a while you realize that it's spirits, right? Spirits affecting your life. And yes, spirits can affect your life. But what I have noticed talking to people, counseling people over time, is that what affects people more than anything is themselves and their core beliefs, right? And it's very hard to destroy or to tear down a core belief that someone has built up in their mind. They believe it with all their heart, but it is a lie. And it is causing the issues in their life, right? Core beliefs are those beliefs, listen to this, right? Core beliefs are those beliefs so connected to our sense of identity that they affect almost everything we do. Let me read that again. Core beliefs are those beliefs so connected to our sense of identity, right? It's who you think you are. It's what you think you deserve, what you think you are worth, where you think you will go in life, what you think, right? Very connected to our sense of identity. And these core issues affect almost everything we do, right? So this is where I want you ladies to write down for me, right? I'm just going to give you all a few moments to do it. And then I'm going to, gosh, I did not even cover half of what I wanted to. But I want you to take a few moments and write down for me. Based on what I said before, I want you to be real with yourself. I really want you to get a pen and paper and write down for me some of the destructive cycles in your life, right? So I was open about one, which is my battle with weight, right? And my battle with just being organized and clean, right? For you, it may be very, very different, but you realize it is a cycle. How do I know it's a cycle? I've been trying to attain a certain weight now for the past 30 years. Not 30, I'm 49, I'm talking shipness. 25 years, right? I'd be a fool to think it's not a cycle. It's a cycle. It's 25 years. And it's me. I can't blame nobody. Who am I blaming for that? Right? So I want you, it could be very different for you, but I want you to write down now for me. Take a few moments, write down some things that you would say are destructive cycles in your life, right? And by the end of the session, I want you to be able to identify what core beliefs are causing you to stay in those cycles, right? What core beliefs? Because when we identify the core beliefs, we could tear it apart, and I could tell you the truth now that's going to help you to build yourself up on your self-worth, right? So you are writing down, right? Some destruct, let's say, I don't want you, some people might have real cycles, right? Just write two major destructive cycles that you are seeing in your life, right? And if you can, between this week and next week, Monday, try to identify core beliefs that you have that you think could be causing those cycles, that would be good too. But what I really want you to do is just write on the cycles for now, right? So just take a few moments and write it down. And I want to give you all an opportunity to ask some questions or share at this point, right? As I said, this is no way I could do this in 1 week, but it's going to get more and more interesting with every week. And you're going to be able to identify more and more things that, you know, affecting your life, right? So at this point, I want to ask if anybody writes. I mean, you can write.